Hello and a very good evening and welcome to the Hampton Netball Show. It's finals time, the home and away season done and dusted. And now we're talking the real stuff, all things fresh as fruit juice finals. Kate Lindsay, Trish Butters, I'll tell you what a great finale to the season, obviously with some excitement with ladder positions, but geez, I'm looking forward to the next 4 weeks.
So am I. It's nice to finally be here, to know who our five is, and a great weekend of netball, and we hope that finals can deliver some of the fantastic games that we had. Yeah,
exactly. And it was a dramatic weekend, let's just say. But it was good to see, and we love finals.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Love
so
finals.
4 weeks to go, and then obviously we had some grand finals on the weekend. The Roosters did so well on the Sunday side of things. So congratulations to the two teams that took out the premierships on Sunday.
Premiers and champs, both great.
Yeah, terrific. And
really
they've put a lot of work into their netball program, the Roosters, as have all the clubs. So it was great to see a good crowd over there too, Trish.
Yeah, it was a great crowd, but it was a really good contest. I know both the South teams hadn't been beaten, but Warrnambool headed them off halfway through that game, and anything could have happened. And the Correct team that played off in the 13 under reserves, and I know Kate we're speaking to tonight's the coach of them, but they are a talented bunch and they're very young and just a little bit shorter than the South Warrnambool group, and watch out for them in the next few years.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got two great guests. We're going to go to Cobden and obviously Koroit, the two sides that are participating in the qualifying final this weekend up at the Camperdown's Lura Oval. We might go to Cobden first and catch up with their coach, and who's just only been reappointed for season 2024 over the last 36 hours. And I'll speak of Sophie Hinkley. Soph, thanks for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, first and foremost, congratulations on the reappointment. Another year at the helm. You've done a great job along with Nadine and a lot of the senior players there. Was it an easy decision to make to go on again next year?
Yeah, for sure. Next year, I think, is a great opportunity for us to consolidate a lot of the things that we've been doing. It said that I was in my 5th year as the coach, but it probably feels like, it's probably my third full year next year. Last year was the first opportunity I had to coach finals. So, after that, I felt like I probably had the opportunity to have that experience with the entire season and a pre-season and all of those sorts of things. So next year will be, really exciting to keep on rolling with the great momentum that we have within our squads and our netball program.
So how do you focus on, continuing to push the girls as players, but also focus on your own individual performance? Because you've had a really fantastic season as a player as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. I think my consistency could probably have been better this year. I don't love playing and coaching. I probably hope that next year I might be able to coach from the sidelines. But it is a big challenge, and I know this week coming into finals is a whole nother challenge for me to coach and play finals netball. Obviously, throughout the year, having a successful team as well, I can probably have an idea of what I'm going to do as a coach before we start, and that's a huge luxury of having such a successful team. But going into finals is such an unknown, and I don't have that ability to probably foresee as many things that I might be able to do and changes I can make. So, I think this week I'll be relying a lot more on the girls to be able to adapt themselves so that I can concentrate on my own game, because I certainly need to still concentrate on that.
So if you're talking about, and it is hard to coach and play at the same time, do you have who do you have on your bench that you trust and gives you advice when you come off?
I have Helene Foster, is my assistant coach, and I have a huge amount of trust in her as a coach and a friend. And I think it is important to have someone there that you feel really comfortable with and that feels comfortable enough to give me feedback. And I'm always sort of seeking that to make sure that she can tell me if I'm making the right decisions and if I'm in the right spot myself. And obviously, with the foundations that we have as a team, I think it can be quite obvious the changes that need to be made, or what I need to do individually. And probably the girls are getting a lot better at reflecting on those things as well. So this year I haven't concentrated as much on giving really specific and strategic feedback, but more about, probably empowering them to reflect individually and to think about how they can execute their own game plan.
Hey, Soph, I want you to go back a couple of weeks, and that game against South Warrnambool, as it has been the last few occasions, it was an epic one once again. How much did you guys take out of that win? I know sometimes you take more out of your losses than your wins, but I reckon you guys would have taken a lot out of that win heading into the last couple of weeks of the season, then into a finals campaign.
Yeah, we felt really proud of ourselves just individually, the way that the girls were able to execute what they wanted to. We've been doing a lot of work, of course, on lots of strategy and plays that we do across the court, and we have been executing those really well against different teams. But going into South, it was more about us composing ourselves mentally and composing ourselves individually to be able to execute exactly what we wanted to do as individuals and as a team. And I think we sort of came away from the game and all looked at each other and thought, oh, it actually works if we all just trade off what role we all play, instead of worrying about things that we can't control, which is, what a teammate's doing or what an opponent is doing or coaches' decisions or crowd or umpires. All of those things are out of our control, and all we can do is think about our own skill set and what we do well and go about executing that to the best of our ability.
So for just a quick one, we've spoken all year around the depth at Cobden, and that's evident through, your senior sides have had a really good season. You've got your 9 now, so what does your 7 look like each week? Is that sort of set, or are you changing that up based on lineups or performance at training? How does that look for you each week?
Yeah, we have about 15 different 7s. Look, we said this at the start of the season that it was going to be really challenging for me, but challenging for the girls as well, to be able to have the belief within themselves that even if they are on the bench or out of a favoured position, that they are 100% impacting our team. It just means that I'm able to really analytically look at, different combinations, different strengths and skill sets that individual girls have, and combinations on the court or opposition, or just, on the day, how well someone is able to execute what they need to. So it is a great privilege, but yeah, it means that I do a lot more thinking, but yeah, we don't have a 7, we have a 9 and lots and lots of 7s.
Yeah. I was just thinking, so now we're into finals, it's a reset. Whatever happened throughout the year, it's done and dusted. You can't change that. It's a reset. And I guess how are you going to take that extra step forward this year from where you've been the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, I think an important thing to recognise is just how successful we have been. I listened to something the other day that was saying that a silver is almost more devastating than a bronze in, Olympic sport, things like that. And as much as that has been devastating to get so close, I think we can really reflect on if we were at any other club and looked back at how many years we've consecutively been successful and made finals, I think it would be really devastating for us not to recognise the significant impact that we've had on our club's success over this sort of era of having this group of players together. But more to answer your question is probably just that mindset, Trish. It's recognising that every other year, just like every round coming into our finals is gone, every other year that, we might have come last or 6th or 5th or 2nd, they're also scrapped as well. So we come into this, controlling what we can control and not letting any of those outside things or expectations impact us too much.
Hey, Soph, best of luck for the weekend. You take on the Koroit Saints up at the Lura Oval in Camperdown, qualifying final. We wish you all the very best, and I'm expecting a really good final series in all games we see over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good luck, Soph.
Sophie Hinkley there from the Cobden Bombers, and it's great to see she going on again. Passionate netball person, and the way their coaching structure has just been so sound over the last few years. You know, Nadine's held that role, and obviously Sophie coming back, and so passionate, thinks about it very deeply and analytically as well. A very good leader.
Great leader, and I could listen to the way she talks all day. I just think, you know, she is very analytical. She analyses opposition and her own team very deeply, and she's a fantastic coach and has a great track record. And I really love that part at the end where she spoke about they need to actually celebrate the success of making finals for so long. And yes, second is really tough, and I agree with her. I think you'd prefer to come third than second. But they have had success for a number of years, and that's due to all the wonderful people they have at the club.
I remember speaking with her at the start of the year, and I said, what's the motivation heading into this year? And she said, you would think it would be to go that next step better, obviously because they've fallen short a couple of times previously, but she said it's actually try and build on the girls' intrinsic motivation, and that's been where she's really put a lot of effort in from the start of the year, and it seems like it's worked.
And you heard that, you're saying that being a playing coach, they've had to rely on and being able to think about their own game on the court rather than someone telling them what to do, which they're at that age where they can. Their juniors come up and they've got that netball IQ. Sophie's got a strong netball IQ and she's passing that on to them.
Well, we go from one netball coach who's got a very good netball IQ to one that's got an outstanding netball IQ. I want to speak of the co-coach from the Koroit Saints in Kate Dobson. Kate, thanks for jumping on the show. Great to have you on, and another final series for the Koroit Saints.
Yeah, it's very exciting. You play all season for the finals, and it's here, so can't wait for this weekend.
Kate, I want to ask you, obviously at the start of the year, you lost a couple of really good players, Belle Baker, obviously Meg Carlin to the Warrnambool Blues, and looking like you're going to have a pretty young list, but I'll tell you what, they've just taken everything before them, and you must be so proud, you know, even just after the home and away season, what they've achieved.
Oh yeah, so proud. Couldn't be any prouder. You know, the youth at Koroit is amazing, and we've just fostered that sort of attitude for years now, and we sort of looked almost 2 years ahead. Like, we look at the kids who are 13 and 14 now because we hope that they'll be senior players in 2 years. There's a lot of pressure on a kid just to pop them into that open section when, you know, they're 16 and haven't played. So, you know, we're constantly fostering and nurturing the juniors at Koroit.
Yeah, I've noticed on the weekend, Kate, you've got a really good mix of really youthful people coming through with really skillful, and then your more senior players. How's it going to go this weekend coming up against the Cobden football netball team, who we know have got a really good track record and have had that team for quite some time? In fairness, they've got some new players coming in and out, and as Sophie just said, you know, they've got lots of different starting sevens, but, you know, that nine's been pretty solid. What's your plan around that this weekend?
Yeah, I guess experience is definitely hard to beat. And Kerry and I discussed that on the phone this week already, and just their voice on the court collectively, that experience. You know, we've got kids and their enthusiasm is great, but we'll just talk about that a lot at training, and just to be aware of it, and get the kids in a good frame of mind and tell them to back themselves because they're really good players, but respect the opposition for who they are. Yeah.
Kate, if you look back to the start of the season and then look at the back half of your season, what have you been most impressed about in terms of the team's performance, but maybe even some individuals that you've seen grow over the year?
Well, I guess you could look at both ends of our team. So we've got Casey, who's our captain and our most experienced player. And I probably had a chat to Casey halfway through the season, and I remember going through this myself, and you probably can't do the things you could do when you were 25. So she's had to read the game, but I think she's playing some of the best netball she has. And then you look at someone like Scarlett O'Donnell, who was probably that third, fourth wing defence in waiting last year, but has really just took on the challenge. So I guess just individuals improving and peaking at the right time of the season. I feel like we've sort of had an up and down season at times, but slowly chipping away, and all things to be really falling in place now.
Hey Kate, not that I get to see a lot of netball, but I do follow the results quite actively, and obviously, you know, looking at the footage and so forth of the games that get sent in. Millie Jennings and Layla Munkett, just two that stand out for mine. I think, as you said, you know, you're always looking 2 years ahead. These guys are just continuing on their netball journey really beautifully, and you must be really proud. As young as they are, they're really important senior players for you guys.
Oh, so important. Millie and Layla probably had their standout, well, you know, found themselves as open players consistently last season, but have just built on it this season. And I spoke at the very beginning of the season, not just about Layla and Millie, but about your Shelbys and your Scarlets, and said, this is going to be our team. We've got to go with them. And a lot of pressure on Layla and Millie, because almost in the senior leadership group of the Open team. And at times that can put a lot of pressure on them, but they just step up week after week after week. They're amazing mid-quarters, those two girls. And Millie probably found herself a lot in wing defence last year, but I always believe she was, had more to offer. She delivers to the goalies beautifully. Her ability to read the game in attack and in defence, I think she's a fantastic centre. Yeah.
Kate, what's the plan for this week? You come up against a very experienced Cobden side, and you and Kerry have both been brilliant netball players and probably are able to talk to the girls around handling nerves. But what's going to be the plan? Because it will be a nerve-wracking Saturday, I imagine, for the girls, anticipating coming up against a firing Cobden side.
Again, Kerry and I have spoke about Cobden and their zone through that mid-court and just their ability to speak and link together. But we'll go through every aspect of that on Thursday night at training and just try and break it down and have a few different ways to overcome it. And just, remind the girls to believe in themselves. We've finished third on 4. We've had a lot of tough games and we've been able to stick to our game plan and just get around each other and play the best netball we can. So we'll probably just go in with that sort of message, but definitely not underestimating Cobden and really trying to work out how to beat some of their strengths.
Hey, Kate, I want to ask you one last one, and it's off the netball court onto the footy ground. Last Sunday, saw one of the best games of junior footy, if not one of the best games of football I've seen all season. How was Damien after, a few hours after the game? Because his heart would have been in his mouth when young Archie had the ball in hand to kick the winning goal.
He was. He said he could hardly watch the last minute and a half during the game. Excited, and I don't know, having two coaches at home, you ride the high. Even oh no, if they lose, Dad's going to be so sad. But for very, very happy, and just the boys, he just was so happy for the boys because they've trained really hard. They've had great commitment to their footy all season, and Cobden were great opposition. I was sad for them, but it was a fantastic win and great call too, Hilly. We went back, watched it. It was really good to listen to your commentators. You got very into the game. It was
That's why you asked the question.
No, it wasn't that. I was actually, I'm kidding you not. It was the best football I've seen all year. Yeah. And I just loved it. And I just thought, poor old Damien, he just would have been beside himself when Archie had that ball in hand. And I just wanted to see what the field was like at the Dobson household afterwards. But hey, Kate, thanks for jumping on tonight. We really appreciate your time. You're a superstar to Hampton League Netball, and the Koroit girls are very lucky to have you and Kerry at the helm. Best of luck for the weekend.
Thanks very much.
Good luck, Kate.
Kate Dobson, they're the Koroit Saints, and I really mean that. She has just been an absolute iconic person aligned with the Hampton Football Netball League. Multiple premiership player, league best and fairest winner. She's coached, all grades of netball over at Koroit. Just a beautiful person and a great netball person.
Smart netballer and smart coach. And I remember watching her coach a few times at Association Champs. Not actually coaching, she was just on the side before she was appointed. And I made the comment, this person needs to coach. She's got all the skills that a coach needs to have. So I'm really pleased that she's taken it on. And then bringing through the bottom level. So she's teaching at the top level. Yeah. Yep. And then she's got the 13 under reserves coming through. And yes, that's good for the club.
I love her theory, what she spoke about, looking 2 years ahead. Great strategic planning. And I think, that's why Koroit have been such a great side for a number of years.
Absolutely.
You've never seen Koroit, over probably the last 20 years, they've never really bottomed out. They've always gone on and continued on that good progression, whether it's finishing a grand final winner or finishing inside the 3 or finishing inside the 5.
Absolutely.
Always looking to the future, which is a great way to look at it.
We never write them off, do we?
Oh, absolutely not. You'd be stupid, whether it's football or netball. But I think that's just the football club. Great leaders on the netball court, great leaders on the footy oval, but actually great leaders as a collective. So,
great club.
Fantastic football club, and good to see them involved once again. Yeah. Hey, let's look at round 18 highlights. It was the final round of the home and away season, some cracking games. And the first game there, we've got North Warrnambool taking on the Koroit Saints. Kate, you were over there. Close game, and Well, it was North's Warrnambool seasons on the line there, and they just fell 4 goals short and narrowly missed out on a finals berth for 2023.
A really close game, and Trish will probably attest to this. It was up and down and up and down, and there were, multiple opportunities for the lead to change, and, North got within one in the last quarter. I thought North's first half, their connection with Maddie in wing attack and Sky in goal attack was so slick and really tough for the Croydon defenders to beat. Tani Porter and Millie Jennings had a brilliant match up in the centre. They're both very aerial players. And yeah, I think North will be disappointed with that narrow loss. But North needed to win, but Croydon needed to take form into finals. So it was a hotly contested game, high skill level, and the way that you want to finish, I suppose, round 18.
It looked like a finals game
Yeah.
sitting there when it was. The noise around the court was like it being at the finals. I was trying to score and I was yelling the score out. Poor Sarah beside me. Yeah.
Hey, next game was South Warrnambool taking on the Portland Tigers over at Hanlon Park, and it was the Roosters comfortably 77-28. They've had a great season, and they're going to continue on with a pretty important final series coming up.
They
Trish?
will, yeah.
We knew they'd come back after being defeated and still without Annie, but I think they'll be working on their structures. But I think Portland, they got 27 goals, but they kept Holly down to 58 out of the 75 or something. But so it's good to see her back playing in her best. And I guess they're going to take that form, have a rest up their injured players, and come into the finals. They'll be sitting back watching on Saturday, I'm sure, and seeing what comes up with them. But I think for Portland, taking some positives out of the season will be what they'll need to do, and then recruiting next year.
Absolutely. Hey, Cobden took on the Warrnambool Blues, and it was the Cobden Bombers by 14, Kate. I'm loving the way they've finished the season, and Warrnambool, they've been big improvers. They're obviously going to play an elimination final on Sunday. They scored 39 against a side that's been red hot all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a really close at quarter time. It might have even been a draw, and then Cobden just put the foot down in the final, 3 quarters. Emily Finch was kept quiet by probably her standards, and Warrnambool moved Amy Wormold out to goal defence at one point, had Matilda Fitzgerald back in goalkeeper, so they're obviously trialling a different combination before finals. And Sarah Moroney is a player that is... she probably hasn't featured in the best this year, but the way she wears down her opponent is incredible. So great to see her with a best on-court performance. And I think that she is going to be so important for Cobden in finals, given that she can cover all 3 positions.
Absolutely.
Incredibly well. A really good game by Cobden coming into finals.
And the last game we've got highlights for is Hamilton taking on Terang. Like a high-scoring affair. The Bloods 48, falling short to Hamilton 65. I think it was set up, Trish, by that 20-goal first term by the Hamilton Kangaroos. They sort of got a nice little lead and sort of really maintained it throughout the course of the day.
It's really hard to come back from a lead like that against a quality team who needed to win to get in the 5 and had to do the job and did do the job. And I think, Danielle Van Kolken, high score again. I think it was nearly 50 goals again. So she's having a stellar time at the moment. And I think Hayley Sherlock's been a big input for them back into goal attack. She has that drive down there and gives Claire Crawford another spot somewhere else. It'll be an interesting final this weekend. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the final game, Kate, was Camperdown taking on Port Fairy, another high-scoring affair. There was 96 goals scored in this one.
Yeah.
And my team, I've jumped on board this year, number 1 ticket holder, Emily Stevens has alluded me to. She texts me after every game. Good tipping, she's all over it. They got the job done, Camperdown 52-44, but a good finish there by the Seagulls in what has been a pretty tough year.
Yeah.
And I reckon where Camperdown started at the season to where they're finished, I reckon that Em and Megan would be pretty wrapped with how they've progressed throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
I think, and if we look at both sides, that is a highly contested game, and it's really great that Port Fairy were able to push Camperdown the whole way, and vice versa if the result was different. But Port Fairy led at quarter time, Camperdown took it away from there. Piper Stevens, and we always talk about this, people that we have on the show perform. Yeah. And she played across goal attack and wing attack. She shot 27 goals. And
she's 13.
Isn't that yeah, wow.
That's
she's
the
a young gun. And Elsie Adams, who's a really nice defender for Port Fairy, quite young as well, had a best on court performance. So I think the future is really bright at both of these clubs.
Yeah.
We just need to top them up with a few more senior players, just so that they don't have to shoulder the load of the whole team.
Yeah.
Both those teams. And
Yeah.
I think I think they've got some experienced players there that might need to come up and support those young girls for the next couple of years till they find their feet. But watch out for Camperdown next year. I think that would be the highest score for the year at 52.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
No, great
that's a high
scoring. And
score.
as I said the other week, I think it'd be great, especially for Camperdown, if Em and Megan went on again.
Yeah,
I don't
no
know whether-
announcement yet. Have you got any
No,
intel?
I haven't. Well, I'd
No.
imagine that Em would send me a text message straight away to let me know what's going on.
I would imagine she would let you break it live.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
On the netball show.
Maybe not.
But I think it'd be great because I think it's a starting point. I know she's been involved with
Yeah.
netball for a long, long time, and maybe sometimes you think, I need to do something else with my Saturdays and so forth. But I guess while Piper's playing too, no
And
better person to lead.
no one better to have,
No.
at your club, someone
Yeah.
that wants to develop
And
your
passionate.
juniors.
Yeah.
Someone that genuinely cares about the club and wants to see it succeed. So I hope they both stick around.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I have seen, and I know clubs always do it each and every year, but there's been some expression of interest for a lot of clubs for next year with all their grades and netball coaches. So it's going to be interesting to sort of see what the off-season brings for those that are looking at,
New homes.
Yeah, new homes or whatever it may be. So
We'll have to do a off-season trade special
yeah,
episode.
like
of
trade radio or something.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We'll have to talk about
It's
all the
always
changes in the
interesting,
off-season.
So a big well done to these teams who gave us some great highlights throughout the course of the year. So the North Warrnambool Eagles, Terang Mortlake showed some great improvement. We also saw Camperdown and Port Fairy and the Portland Tigers. So thank you to you guys for your support of the netball show, but also too just the excitement you've brought, Hampton League netball supporters over the year as well. We saw some great games, and hopefully each of those sides next year can be really improve, and we can see them pushing for finals. But that leads us to our final series, 2023, the Fresher Fruit Juice Final Series. And don't forget our major sponsors of the Hampton Football Netball League, Powercore, Southwest TAFE, SunGold Milk and McDonald's. So important to have so many great, important sponsors, and they all jump on with absolute ease. They just love being a part of the league, which is terrific.
And Miss Kit and
Absolutely.
Tanner Country Pizza are going to do our Best on Court awards right throughout the final series
Oh,
again
fantastic.
this year.
Jodie, love
thank
it.
you to them. Yeah.
Absolutely loves supporting the netball. So thanks to Jodie Lane, the
Yeah.
team at Miss Kit, and obviously Stewie and the
Stewie.
can man at
Yep.
Town and Country out in the Safeway complex.
Yes.
55620000 for your pizza and pasta fix.
That's
Obviously,
sad, but
you've had
know
to
the
bring
number.
that
No,
a few
well,
times.
Stewie says it every Saturday on the broadcast. So it just comes. All right, let's look at these two games. Let's have a good look at it. Saturday, Camperdown is the venue. We've got Koroit taking on the Cobden Bombers. Trish, I'm going to start with you. Tell me a bit about your thoughts on Saturday's game.
It's going to be a ripper. That's all I know. A lot of driving on the weekend for us, but look, I don't know. I think the experience of Cobden will get them over the line. I think that moving five that I would call to have through the mid-court, and Kate alluded to that, and it'll be the way the Croydon deals with that and comes around that. Nell Mitchell's always a gun, but the one that I was really impressed with on the weekend was Molly. She did such a great job. Like she feeds so beautifully in there.
She had a really good game on the
She
weekend.
had a ripping game.
Yeah.
So she's going to be really important. And I guess the other thing for me is who stops Emily Finch. They've got other goalies, but she's been their focal point all year. And, in fairness to her, she's not a tall goalie, but she's shot a lot. She holds really well. She's moving. She's a bit of both. She's not a holding goalie. She can mix it up. So how Layla plays on her will be an interesting matchup.
So do you reckon Layla gets a job?
Yeah, Layla's having a brilliant year in keeper.
Yeah.
She deserves the start there, and her and Casey have been mixing it up a little bit, but they're both equally as good at goal defence or goalkeeper. So I think Croydon do have options to cover if need be.
And I think they're both defenders that work well with a holding goalie or with a moving goalie.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Like sometimes you get a tall person who can't find a moving goalie, but I think the Croydon defensive end is really good for that. I don't know. I'm going to go with not Croydon. Oh, no, I'm going with Cobden. She nearly thought, oh, no, God. No,
I think Koroit people would fall off their perch if Trish tipped them.
Well, just might. No, look, I think Cobden have done nothing wrong, and I think coming out and beating Warrnambool by 12 goals is a fair bit when you're looking at people in finals.
Yep.
I think they'll get the job done. Be close though.
What do you think?
I'm going to back Koroit.
Yep.
Purely from the fact that I feel like they have a really good mix of youth and experience. A lot of people probably expect Cobden to win this weekend, and I think Koroit's form in the last 4 weeks has been really, really good. Last time they played, they lost by 3. So it was a really good game. I think it shows how well they match up on each other. If Koroit can, relieve themselves of some of that pressure they might feel and just play that free-flowing, really nice game they do, I think they'll get the job done. It'll be very close. I'm going to say they'll win it by 4.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight game. It's hard, like both coaches really sold it to me. Like I love the way that Cobden are organised, and they've got their 15 different sevens, which is a headache for any coach. But I like the way Kate sort of spoke about her side, that they've got some young ones, but they've got some young ones that have really emerged this year as well. And you feel like if you see a Millie Jennings, or you see a Layla Monk, or you see a Scarlett O'Donnell with the ball, you've got confidence that they're going to do it, use it well.
Totally.
I think Cobden just, but I think the margin's going to be 5 goals or less. I think it's going to be pretty tight.
Cobden's depth is what I think is how they've had the wood over, most teams this year. I think that, to Sophie's point, she has hundreds of different combinations in her head that she could
I think 15's been a little bit relaxed. I reckon she's probably got about 200.
I think there's a lot as well. But I think that shows that if something's not working, they know that they can move to plan B, C, D, whatever it is, and they can get the same result.
Yeah.
And they've trialled it.
Yeah.
What about Koroit? Like, how does Koroit line up? They've got 7. They've got the starting 7. How many on their bench? Because this weekend, it's one game, one weekend.
Yeah.
How does it go with? Oh, you're resting.
No, well, I'm not playing.
No, but your team's on top, isn't it? I don't mean you, but your team's on top.
No. We play on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to give away all the secrets,
you
but
don't need to.
there'll be 1 or 2 players that will need to be on their bench. They have a really consistent 7. There is a little bit of movement around that. If something's not working, Molly McKinnon can go back into defence.
Yes.
We've got Molly McLaren, who's been playing really well, can come into attack. So probably not as tried and tested as Cobden's combinations, but actually I don't think that's a bad thing because people haven't seen them before. Yeah. So, it's going to be a good battle on Saturday and really looking forward to it.
Going to be a high-quality game, that's for sure. And I reckon that Kerry and Kate will be absolutely rapt that the Mermaids are all over, so they get Molly, young McLaren as well, back, and even Mia Mills for you in Division 1 and so forth.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
All right, let's look to Sunday's games. Over at Hanlon Park, the netball venue over there, absolutely sensational. Great to be over at Hanlon Park on Sunday. The Warrnambool Blues take on the Hamilton Kangaroos. They had a great battle last time around with the Blues getting the job done. How do you see this one sort of shaping up as our elimination final? Because it's do or die.
Yeah, again, I see it as a really close game, and that's what you want with your final teams. I think that Hamilton would have learned a lot from that loss, and they've got experience. You look at Danielle, you've got Callie and Emma, you've got Claire Crawford. They're a very experienced side. I think that Hamilton will win it based on the fact that they are experienced. They know how to win, and they know how to win in a close game. So I'll tip them. But the Blues, I'm really excited to see the matchup between Amy and Danielle. That may be, if Amy can nullify Danielle, I think that the Blues will go really close to winning it. So matchup to watch out for.
I'm on the opposite. I'm going Warrnambool. I just sort of think the key person is Amy. I saw her play last week, and she decided they were going to win the game, and so she stepped up and she won it. And apparently the same on the weekend. She, even like they got beaten, she came out in goal defence, and she has such an impact in that role. I think it'll be one loss in the goal circle for sure. Is how Eva Ryan, as a young player, we talk about pressure. It's a massive pressure in elimination.
Absolutely.
We talk about a qualifying elimination, still or die. There'll be a lot of pressure on her. But I think Warrnambool. I do think Warrnambool. Yeah.
Their form's been really good.
Their form's been really good.
Yeah. I just think I know the Kangaroos had a bit of a lull, but I think now that they've got their squad back, obviously, Cal missed a lot of games due to work commitments and so forth, and Danielle didn't play a couple of games and so forth. But I think their list is looking as sharp as it could possibly look.
Yeah.
I think the Kangaroos, I think experience is going to play a lot. And you speak about young Ryan, what a
Yep.
year she's had.
Yep.
Amazing year, amazing year.
Amazing year.
But
Yep.
obviously,
Yep.
finals is a
Pressure.
different game.
It is,
And, these
absolutely.
girls at Hamilton have played a lot of netball with one another as well. So I'm going to stick with the Kangaroos in a really tight one
Yeah.
as well. I think we're going to have some tight results over the course
I
of the
reckon
weekend.
both games will be less than 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen.
Oh, I'll tell you what, well, the season's brought up so many curlies already, like, there might be a
has.
couple of curlies brought up on the weekend. So we'll just wait to see. Hey, that is the show. First week of finals, the Fresher Fruit Juice final series. Get out and support our netballers and our footballers over the course of the weekend. Camperdown on Saturday, Portland on Sunday. Cannot wait. We're looking forward to 2 great Open Division finals, along with all the other finals in our lower senior divisions, but also our junior divisions as well. Kate and Trish, have a great weekend. I
Yeah.
look forward to talking more netball next Wednesday night. And we've got the junior presentation night next
Monday night.
Monday night as well
Yep.
at the Racing Club.
Yes.
So we'll have all the winners and so forth
Yeah,
to discuss
great.
on
That'd be
the
super.
show next week too. So enjoy netball. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks to Kate Dobson and also to Sophie Hinkley, I should say, from the Cobden Bombers. And we'll see you next Wednesday night on the Handle League Netball Show.